Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. It's Jay. I've got a selection of weapon lights here that I want to compare and demonstrate the different beam profiles at different distances with some targets I've got set up back here. I've got 16 lights. 2 of them are pistol lights. They're actually the 2 versions of the X300, the Ultra and the Turbo. I'll be showing those first, and then I will be moving to the rifle lights. Now, all of the rifle lights that I will be showing are 18350 or 18650 compatible, so there aren't going to be any of the older Surefire models or the lower output, smaller capacity Arisaka Malkoff models, the ones that use 123s or any of that kind of stuff. These are all going to be strictly the 18350/18650 compatible models. I've got options from Streamlight, Cloud Defensive, Arisaka Malkoff, Surefire, Modlite, Weltool, and Z-Bolt. And those are going to be what I'll be demonstrating, and I'll be demonstrating that order. I'm going to start with the pistol lights with the X300u and the X300 Turbo. So let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to start with the X300 Ultra, and this one is rated 1,000 lumens and about 11,000 candela. Start at 10 meters, and you can see right there it's got a very wide open spill, almost no real hot spot, but it illuminates a very wide range. And you could see, even when you've got what hotspot there is focused on the first target, you can easily see the second, and you can start to see the third. 20 meters, things are starting, the output is starting to fall off a little bit, and then at 40, it's not much. You can see that it's there, but you can't really see what's going on as well. And you're definitely not going to be denying any visual planes with this light past about right there. Even that one, even at 10 yards, this is a struggle. I can walk through this output at 10 yards pretty easy. Okay, now we're going to go to the X300 Turbo. This one is rated at 650 lumens and 66,000 candela. So we're going to start at 10 meters. And as you can see, a night and day difference, pun intended. 66,000 candela absolutely stomps on the X300 Ultra. And as you can see, even though the 650 lumen raw output did have me concerned about what kind of spill this was going to have, the spill that you're getting with the X300 Turbo is absolutely fantastic. Very, very usable, very wide and powerful for a light that's only pushing 650 lumens. It's very impressive. Even at 40 meters, it's putting heavy hitting light on target. I would say the X300 Turbo easily sits right in the middle of the pack with all of the 18650 weapon lights that are on the market right now. As far as beam profile goes, I still have other tests I'm going to be conducting. I'm going to be testing battery life and thermal throttling, drop-off, stuff like that. We'll see how they all perform with those. This is just a typical defensive encounter beam profile example comparison. So there's the Turbo. Very, very impressed with the output of the Turbo. All right, and the next one we have is the Streamlight Protac HLX. This one's rated 1,000 lumens and 27,600 candela. And as you can see, it is definitely stronger than the Ultra, significantly stronger than the Ultra, but it doesn't quite get to that same heat as the Turbo. It doesn't push it quite as hard. But the spill is very, very usable. The illumination is nice. The color temperature is a little on the cool side, but not bad. And for the money, the Streamlight gives you a really, really, really good performance to cost ratio. Fantastic value. All right, now we're going to go to the Cloud Defensive Owl. This is rated at about 1,250 lumens and about 50,000 candela. And this one is also the light with the warmest light temperature. Some people do prefer that really warm temperature. For me, I feel like it sometimes reduces contrast, especially on dark covered targets, you know, targets that aren't all that bright. But there is no denying how strong that output is. That's 50,000 candela of nice warm light with a nice clean spill. And that warm temperature pushes through smoke, gun smoke. It pushes through your breath and fog in the air. It's a nice feature if that is a priority. I do think that you can get similar results without going quite so hot, and I think some of these other options show that. But this is it's you can't deny that's a fantastic output. Even at 40 meters, that target is well lit up. Then we're going to go to the OWL 2.0. I didn't have the 1.0. I may add that to the roster later on, but for now I'm just going to use this one. This one is rated at 1100 lumens and 71,000 candela. This is the high candela version. And as you can see, that 71,000 candela does not mess around, especially when the distance increases. Has a nice, wide, usable spill and really heavy hitting hotspot. So that's the Cloud Defensive REIN 2.0. All right, now we have the Arisaka E2 XTL by Malkoff Devices. And if you don't know who Gene Malkoff is, he is pretty much one of the OGs of Weaponlight and durable flashlight design. The guy's been doing this for longer than most, and he's been doing it good. This is their 18650 flagship model. This is kind of their version of the 18650 light. This one is rated at where is it? Okay, this one's rated at 500 lumens and 55,000 candela. And you can kind of see here how the spill on this is wide, but it isn't very strong. And that is one of the things that you can suffer from when you're trying to squeeze candela out of a low lumen raw output. A lot of times you can't have it both ways. I think the one that's done it best, to be brutally honest, is actually the Turbo or the OKW, because they're pulling 60,000 plus, well over 60,000 out of less than 700 lumens, which is very, very impressive. Now this is this E2 XTL is getting 55,000 candela out of 500 lumens, and it's clean. It's a really clean output, but you can definitely tell that it drops off a little bit when you're going from 20 to 40 and beyond. It's still very, very usable, and I would have no problem using it on a Weaponlight. And this is another one that gives you a lot of value to performance compared to some of the other options, because the Arisaka lights tend to be about $80 to $100 cheaper than their competition, without really losing a significant amount of function. And that's a great value. And you don't have to worry about reliability or durability, because all these heads are coming directly from Malkoff Devices, and they're bomb proof. So there you have the E2 XTL from 10 meters to 40 meters. And this is the Surefire Dual Fuel 1500. This is rated at, oh, doggone it, I forgot. Bear with me a second. Okay, and we're back. All right. So one thing I forgot about the Surefire is that it's not compatible with flat top batteries. You have to use a button top, and I only have 3 button tops for this test, so I had to swap them out. So this is the Surefire Dual Fuel 1500. 1500 lumens, which is actually the highest raw lumen output count of all of the Weaponlights here, but it only has about 16,000 candela. So you get a lot of light. It just isn't very focused. And while I think that this is still a very usable light in certain circumstances, you're losing a lot of versatility by relying on just all of that spill and not a whole lot of candela. This doesn't push through photonic barriers as well. It's not going to reach into and illuminate a driver in a car behind headlights as well. It's more difficult to see into, you know, dirty windows. It's just you're losing some utility there. Still very strong, and I honestly think it would make a great EDC light, but it definitely isn't my favorite when it comes to a weapon specific application. All right, next we're going to go to the Modlite PLHV2. This one is rated at 1350 lumens and 54,000 candela. So this is going to give similar candela to the Arisaka, but similar flood to the Surefire dual fuel. And that's kind of what you see. You have a nice hot spot that's very clean, and you have a nice wide usable spill. Modlite has done a really good job with making this beam profile very versatile and usable across a wide range of circumstances. So there you go. There's at 10 meters, nice and hot, blasting his eyes into the back of his skull. 20 meters, same thing. Lots of light on target, nice focused beam. Even at 40 meters, just rock solid. And nice, clean spill. Okay, now we're going to swap to the OKW. This one is rated at 680 lumens and 69,000 candela. And the beam profile is similar to the PLHV2. It's a little bit hotter in the center and a little bit dimmer in the flood. The flood is a little bit dimmer. Still very, very usable. But you can see there where some of the other lights you focus on the second target and you can see almost all of the third and first. With this one, it definitely focuses primarily on your primary target. 40 meters, nice and hot. All right, now we're going to go into the Weltool options. First one is going to be their LH1, which is it's Weltool's answer to the OKW, I would say. It's lower candela, or I'm sorry, lower lumens and higher candela. The LH1 is rated at 686 lumens and 89,000 candela. So it has almost the same raw output as the OKW, but it's pushing it's pushing 20,000 more candela. And as you can see, that hotspot is blasting, absolutely screaming hot. 20 meters, it's still hot and it's big. 40 meters, it's still hot and it's even bigger. This is one of my favorite weapon light heads for a general purpose rifle, home defense, fantastic. And the spill is so uniform and clear. It's not stripy, it's not swirly. I think that's a little smudge from my finger. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Nice and clean. Absolutely love that. It's a blaster. Okay. Then we move to their LH8 is rated at 1250 lumens, but only 83,000 candela, or 84,000 candela. So it's slightly lower candela, but significantly more full output. So what you end up getting is the same kind of output, but this hotspot is even bigger, and the flood is phenomenal. Really bright, really usable. You put the hotspot on the second target, you've got almost some of the hotspot on the first target, and you can see the third target. Really, really versatile. Absolutely phenomenal output. Okay, so there you have all of the high output LED lights in 18650, 18350 flavor and their respective beam profiles. And now we're going to compare the newest technology, which is laser excited phosphor, or LEP lights. And I have 3 LEP weapon lights I'm going to start with the first one. This is kind of the one that started it all, and this is the Weltool LH3. Is rated at 325 lumens, really, really small lumen count, but 196,000 candela. Here it is at 10 yards, and at 10 yards, you see the target and nothing else. Bear in mind, that is the brown side of the IPSC target. That is not the white side. This thing is, it's absolutely absurd. Really, really crazy. But at any other practical distance within, anything within 100 yards, it's really, really borderline useless for a weapon, because there is no native spill at all. I hit the first target, I have no idea that the second target's there. I hit the second target, I have no idea that the third target's there. I hit the third target, and now the first and second target have both disappeared. You got nothing here. Very, very bright, really, really cool, fun toy, but for a defensive weapon light, this isn't it. I would say it would make a great search beacon or a search light, something like that for search and rescue. But that's where I would leave that one. And then we have the Z-Bolt Blazer. When I first bought this, it was originally rated at 415,000 candela, which I thought was a little bit optimistic. Since I've bought it, it has been quietly downrated from 415,000 candela to 315,000 candela out of about 600 lumens. So I'm not sure if there was a change in the testing process, or maybe some of their information was incorrect and it was just a typo or whatever, I don't know. Long story short, this is kind of the same thing as the Weltool LH3 on steroids, but with a warmer output. This one is rated at 315,000 candela out of 600 lumens. And again, all hotspot, no spill. This one has a slightly bigger hotspot, which is nice, but again, you completely lose. You have no peripheral awareness of what's going on around your target from one target to the next. So the big thing about LEP lights is that they don't have spill. There's no spill in an LEP light, which makes it borderline useless for a rifle or even a handgun if they ever come to handguns. What Z-Bolt did is they gave you a set of diffusers that you can use to diffuse the output. They have a 30-degree diffuser and a 50-degree diffuser. So I'm going to add the 30-degree diffuser, and this is what that looks like. Now you can see with that one that you now have a nice hot spot, and you have some usable spill. You could see the second target, you get to the second target, and you can still see the first target. You go to the third target, and you can still see both other targets. The spill is usable. It's not big. It's certainly not powerful the way the LH8 is, but it is definitely functional. And for a home defense application, I would say, based on my philosophy of home defense, that this one is pretty hard to beat. Being able to put that much light on a threat target at basically any range that you would have on a home defense, in a home defense encounter on your property. And that's including my property, which is pretty big. There are places going down to the road where I could easily have to make a 50 to 75 yard shot in the dark, if we're talking about end of the driveway type stuff. So this is, for my needs, this is the one that I prefer the most. But I prefer it with actually the 50-degree diffuser, because that actually gives you a little bit more spill and a little bit wider spill, but it still gives you that crazy hot spot. And that right there is my preferred beam profile for my home defense rifle. That's not to say that this is the only one that I would trust. I would trust any one of the lights here that I've shown you. I wouldn't show any lights that I don't trust. But this is my preferred beam profile. Nice, brutally hot hotspot on target. And the cool thing about the Z-Bolt is it's a little softer. It's not the hotspot doesn't have that hard edge that some of these do. And sometimes I feel like that can be a little distracting when you're looking at the target and you're trying to see what's going on just around that target. So very, very strong, very powerful. Weltool LH18. LH18. Let's see here. This is rated at, it's rated at 175,000 candela. And it has some spill. What do you know? I would say that is an improvement on the LH3, but the fact that I still have trouble keeping all three targets illuminated, I don't think this one dethroned the Z-Bolt for me. I don't know. But this is a beam comparison for you to make your own choice based on what you see and which one fills your priorities the best. I think this is absolutely a better option than the LH3 was. I think I would be confident using that in a home defense specific application, but I think the Z-Bolt is still king of the road right now. So there you have it. These are the 18650 weapon lights. Every single one of these I would use. Every single one of these I would have no problem using, and I wouldn't feel outgunned with any of them, with the exception of the dual fuel. With this, yeah, I would say the dual fuel is the only one that I would leave and pick up something else if I had to. But the dual fuel does make a good EDC light, I think. So there you have it. That's the Weltool LH18. Well, we're back in the shop. What have we learned? This was a demonstration more than a test. This was really just a video to show what these different beam profiles look like on a target in the dark. Very, very simple. And from the experience that I've had with all of these testing in different conditions, inside and outside, with the exception of these two, the Surefire dual fuel and the Weltool LH3, all of these other lights that have been tested and compared, all of them are fantastic. All of them work. All of them illuminate a wide space in front of you while giving you a nice hot spot on the target to scour their eyes and give you as much data as you can get off of those targets. Generally, I would put my floor, my candela floor, at about 50,000. I think once you hit that 50,000 mark, it's all pretty much gravy. Although I do prefer the Z-Bolt because it does, the 315,000 candela this thing pushes is pretty absurd. But all of these are very, very usable. I say 50,000 as a floor for candela. That's pretty much where most of the market is right now, is 50,000 plus. With the exception of the HLX, this is the handheld version, but it has the same output. And even with just the 27,000 that this has, it does a really good job for home defense distances. And it is by far the least expensive option here. The whole light is less expensive than any of these heads without the body and without the thumb cap. So from a value standpoint, the Streamlight is a fantastic value. There are some caveats when it comes to reliability. Your best bet to keep it reliable is just to stick with the thumb cap. But if you're going to integrate a tape switch into it, you're going to end up having to either replace it multiple times or upgrade to an Arisaka Surefire adapter and then use Surefire peripherals, which does bump the cost back up into the higher range. But if it was me and I was going to go with the Streamlight, I would be buying it specifically because it is the least expensive option, and I would be keeping it with just the thumb cap. That way I just mount it on my gun, use the thumb cap that it comes with, keep it really simple, really inexpensive, and have a functional light. All the rest of these lights are just, with the exception of Cloud Defensive, they're all just Surefire dual fuel slash Modlite slash Weltool slash Reptilia body compatible. There's all kinds of peripheral bodies out there right now from different small manufacturers, but they all use the same thread pattern, and they're all compatible with the same bodies, and they're all great. None of these are bad. I love the Arisaka because it's a little bit less expensive. It's got a compact form, and it's got a nice clean hotspot. It does have a little bit less raw output, but it's still fantastic for home defense. PLHV2, I think, is an optimal weapon or a rifle slash handgun light head. This is actually my preferred light for my PL350 on my everyday carry gun. Fantastic spill, fantastic hotspot. The OKW, the grand poobah of high candela lights. This was the one that really kind of shifted the market in that direction. 69,000 candela. This was my favorite home defense light for a long time. And it wasn't until the LH1 came out from Weltool that I figured one that was even better. But every single one of these is great. Pick the one that has the beam profile you like the most, the color temperature you like the most, and the design features that you like the most. And move on with your life, because they're all great. Every single one of these you're gonna love. So, I hope that helps. I hope that you can see the stuff that I'm doing here and it provides value to you. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. Let me know. We'll be conducting a whole lot more testing of all these lights over the next few weeks, and I will be dropping those videos as they come about. So you guys have a good night, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm freaking exhausted.